Not feeling well. I've been up all night. Not feeling well. Those are my crows. I have a funeral to go to tomorrow, so let's do it, shall we? Whatever. But I do have a crazy story, so I am looking forward to you guys hanging out with me today for a little bit. Uh, and the crazy story revolves around this razor. So I will hang out here with you guys and see if anybody shows up for a while. Um, I will say, in the meantime, while people get this notification, uh, I love researching old newspapers and trying to find stuff. I specifically was looking for. Hello, Leanne! I specifically was looking for. It's early today for spooky. Um, Hi, Tina! Yay! I'm not feeling well, but I'm gonna do this. Yay! So I was specifically looking for a particular body that was found ages ago, decades ago, and I kind of accidentally stumbled on like another story, which is kind of fun to do, especially when it's like old stories. This is 1955 that I'm looking at now, but I needed to do Spooky Saturday because I had to tell you guys about what happened to me last night. I'm not really here. No, I totally have a story to tell that's crazy that I cannot explain, which is why I have you guys on my phone instead of my computer. I was going to gift out some memberships today, but I had to use my phone so I can take you guys into the other room. I want to show you inside my shower for what happened last night. Super weird. I was laying there. It was like I haven't felt right for a couple days, but I went to bed fine last night, and I even had some like melatonin, and I'm laying in there, and I had already like stopped listening to everything and turned my headphones off and had was just like falling asleep when I heard, and I put this in Discord, but I'm gonna rehash it for people who aren't in Discord. I heard what sounded like a plastic mousetrap going off, like snappity snap. You know how mousetraps, when they go off, they kind of bounce for a second because of the force, which is also awful. But uh, I heard that, like a plastic rattling sound banging against stuff. And I was like, what was that? And it was so loud. And so I got up and I checked on the bunny because that's what I'm going to do first. And the bunny was upright because she heard it too, and it made her jump up. And she's upright and she's looking out the window where recently, I don't know if I told you guys, I had somebody knocking on my windows. Totally normal, right? Um, so she's looking at the window where they started that one the first time. And I thought, okay, so maybe somebody's outside. And so I grabbed a flashlight, I put my shoes on, and I went directly outside. And I'm checking the whole perimeter. I looked at everything on the outside to see if something could have fallen like on the roof or off of the wall. And I thought for a second, I can show you. Let me show you what I thought might have been is I flip uh one of these things, one of these knobs that like opens and closes the window. I thought maybe it had like unscrewed altogether and fallen off and made that rattling sound because it's plastic, right? So I thought, okay, maybe it was that. It wasn't. Let me put you guys here so I don't have to hold on to this. Oh my god, that's so heavy. Okay. Ugh. Whatever. Oh, the lighting isn't good over here. Okay, so it wasn't that. Oh, that's me in the mirror. I was like, what's moving back there? Okay, so it wasn't that. All the windows were closed. I checked, and then I came back inside, and I was like, I'm pretty solid on where stuff is. Like everything goes in a particular place. I mean, I'm refilling the containers, but they're full right now, so I have to finish feeding the birds what's left in this giant bag. But it's gonna go where it belongs soon. Anyway, so I know where everything is. And so I walked around the whole house and I checked everything to see if something fell over, which why would it? But you know, there's no movement in the whole house and something fell over. So I'm trying to figure out what could have made that noise. This is one hair. What's happening here? Why is this? Where is it? Guys, I hate being on camera. Okay, so there it is. Why? Anyway, so I gave up actually, and I was like, you know what? I'm never going to find out what made that noise. And so I didn't see anything out of place. And so I start to go back to bed, and then I walked past the shower and it like clicked out loud, like not in my head clicked, but it like made a noise. And I was like, okay. And I opened the shower, and in the floor of the shower is this, like middle of the floor. And I took out my camera and I like filmed it for a second so that before I even touched it, so I could go back and look at it in case it moves again. So I could see where it landed. But what this is the cover to my razor, which is a disposable because they stopped making mine that I use. So the only way to get this off of this, because I always put it on, is to slide it like in the grooves. Wait, it's hard to do it at this angle for a camera. Like in the grooves. Oh my God. There. And snap it on. That's the only way to get this on there. And you have to slide it all the way on. So this is how I leave it every time I use it. I put the thing back on so I don't cut myself, because I've cut myself on razors like a bazillion times. And it is super comfortable to have a big flap of skin cut hanging off your finger. Raise your hand emoji if you have also done this. When you grab it and you go, ah, fudge. And then it's like one straight ridge. Hurts. Anyway, so how did this come off of this? Ugh. And it's wet. And jump out and land in the middle of the shower, right? And then, aside from that, let me show you where it was. Because then it's even less likely that could have, I don't know how that could have happened at all. So let me take my little rug down. Hold on. My little shower rug. Okay, so this is the shower. Let me flip. All right, so this is the shower. Okay, nice little skylight. This was in here, which just moved in, so I haven't put it up yet. So it was in here, and this comb was on top of it because that's the last thing I use, and I always leave it exactly like this. Wait, exactly like this. It's always on the end, but I moved it last night to get the razor. And so when I there. So when I heard this noise last night, the shower was closed. And I'll show you, it's like really hard to. It like sticks on the bottom, right? You have to really pull it to get it open. Anyway. So how? Somebody please explain to me how. Did that little cover come off of that razor and bounce out of this cup container around the comb to land on the floor. So like last night, it was right there, sort of ish. And my razor was in there, and the comb was still on top of it. How? How does that happen? And it flung off with like enough force that it sounded like, well, how can I even, maybe if I drop it like here. Yeah, it had to have hit that first and then that. So, and it was louder, or maybe just because it was so quiet. Ew, don't look at the hair. How does that happen? So I thought, okay, I'm gonna test it with you guys. I am going to. Let me see if I can. Where can I put you guys? Here, maybe if I flip it like this. All right. So I figure I'm going to slide it on and not snap it like that's snapped. Right? It's weird. So I figure I'll slide it on until it stops without being snapped. Wait. Okay. So there. And then I thought maybe I'll which I would never do this, but I thought, okay, let me just take this off because it's going to drive me freaking insane. Okay. I thought if I could leave it like this. Oh, God dang it. Okay. You see what I'm trying to do though, right? Like I'm trying to debug this. If I leave it like on the edge so that could eventually slide and snap off. And then my comb was on top of it. What is going on with this? This is not working. This is not working the way that I'd hoped. All right, so let me see if that's like moving at all. I'm going to jump up and down. Okay. Something just drooped on me, but what is happening? Like, how do I recreate this? So, yeah, there we go. Let's try that. I'm going to jump around now. I don't even think that's going to do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to do it. It's not going to do it. How do I recreate this? That doesn't even look like it's moving or anything. Right? How in the world? And then if I could get this to pop off, will my razor drop back down under the comb on its own? Like if I just pull it off. Come on now. You have to pick up the comb. Okay, so like what the heck? How in the world? Someone has to be able to explain to me. How in the world? Put it on the ledge and jump. Maybe, oh, like this, maybe I didn't put this back on? Okay, I'm really OCD, but I'm gonna, ooh. Okay, so me, I don't know if I'm right side up now, but me, am I upside down? Me not putting that cover back on is unreal, but let's try it. I'll try it anyway. All right, so I'm gonna put it right here. I'll even put it like right on the edge. And then my cup was here. Okay. Hi, Raven. All right, so it's on the edge. past the point of the tilt. What is this, part of my cone just break off? Awesome. Great. All right. Right? Okay. All right, just so you can see, I am jumping up and down. I'm trying to blow it off with like wind. The AC is on too right now, so it's blowing. So let me try. My phone's wet too now. I'm gonna close this and see if, God dang it, and see if the AC like works differently when it's closed. I don't know. No, it's pointed in a different way. So maybe it was an ant, a very strong ant. Yeah, what the heck? How? That's not dirt, by the way. That's like a reflection of the wet parts, the rug, where the water is. Except for this. Don't look at that. How? I'm like, I can't leave it. I'm not gonna leave it like the lid off from our little experiment here, because I don't want, like I said, I don't want to cut myself. So I'm gonna also try to do it with one hand. Oh my God, there, yeah. How does that happen? All right, even if okay. So it's not snapped, it's a little bit off, right? How? Right? How? Like, it's not even coming off now. I'm like scared I'm gonna cut myself. Okay, so there seemed to be some kind of extra sticky something. Okay, that came off. I don't know, guys. I don't know. This freaks me out, though. I tried to figure this out last night, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to bed. That's not even on, right? Anyway. I had to like, don't look at my mess. I was supposed to be Alice in Wonderland today, but I was sick all night. So I wasn't. Yeah, the razor was in the bowl. Don't look at my... Guys, don't look at me. Oh, here. Right? So how in the world does that happen? Like, sorry. I'm trying to make it not so messy. Trying to hide my mess area, my general mess area. Yeah, I can't explain how that happens. I have no idea. I have no idea how that happens. But it freaked me out, and I was like, I had already looked all outside because I thought it had to be somebody outside or something without help, right? How does that happen? And like, why? Because I mean, say you're a ghost. Why would you take the cover off of somebody's like leg shaving razor and be like, pew? Like, I don't know. I don't understand what the point would be. The bunny did it. Well, she was freaked out too because she heard it probably better than I did, you know, with her big special bunny ears. But like, How does I don't understand how that happens. It's super weird. I don't understand why it would happen. I don't know what I could possibly do to set that up. Maybe they did. Maybe ghosts still have to deal with unwanted underarm hairs. But like, I don't know how I could set it up to do that on its own. And I didn't try until just now with you guys. But I fell asleep thinking, okay, I'm going to set it up so that it's like resting on the edge of the cover and gravity will have to push the cover off. Like I specifically planned on setting it up like that in case I like dropped it in there and didn't like tuck it down. And I don't know, in case I did something that I wasn't aware of or wasn't paying attention to. I don't know. And like no one's going to go into my shower. Yeah, can't be easily. That's true. If they're like, explain this. Ghosts hate debunkers. And they're like, all right, smarty pants, explain this one. But like, nobody's going to go into my shower and dig out my razor that only I use and like set it to go off in the middle of it was like 1 a.m. And the night before that, I had to go out because there was like teenagers outside having a little party. And I had to be like, move along. But I thought, okay, maybe they came back because they're like, oh, this person wants to sleep. What a nerd or something. I don't know. I was like, maybe they flicked something at my house or at my window or something. But no, there was nobody out there. I don't know, man. That's super weird. I can't explain it. I don't know. If you guys have any ideas on something I can try to recreate that. But like, why? That's so weird. That's so weird. Anyway, weird. Okay, so I had said, oh, I'm over here now with all my stuff. Don't look at my stuff. This is the rug I just took down for you guys. When did you have tapping on your windows? Oh, a couple of weeks ago. There's like people outside trying to tell me I need to shave my legs. That is true. I feel attacked beyond my recreation skills. Electric vehicles sound like the opening credits to the Beetlejuice cartoon from the 90s. Anyway, yeah. I think I'm gonna move you guys like so I don't have to stay back here so far. Sorry, it's gonna get wavy for a second while I slide you forward to see more of my mess. I just got a bunch of clothing and it's in trash bags and I have to go through it all. And I really would like to get rid of a lot of it, but I have a problem with that and I probably won't. I can't. This is new. I can't bring myself to get rid of stuff. All right, so anyway, do you guys want to come along with me? I know that I said that I would. Hi, Rob. I know I said that I would look up ghost stories and like unsolved stuff from wherever you guys live. And I know that I had one person say Cincinnati, even though he's not here. So I'm going to look up if that cap ended up in your bed. I mean, that little doll showed up in an underwear, in a bag of stuff emptied from an underwear drawer. So who knows? Do I need to get my hair done again already? Is there ever time? Looking at the camera right now, since I have to see myself, which is awful. I don't understand why people get upset when your face makeup doesn't match your neck makeup, because like whose face matches their neck anyway? I don't know. Anyway, all right, so let's see. Uh Died mysteriously in Cincinnati, right? You got a creepy ghost? I think so. I think there's something going on. This place is super sketchy too. There's a lot of stuff that's happened here in this place, and every tree in this entire city has a memorial underneath it, a little plaque. Every bench has a little plaque. Um, like everything's dedicated to someone who died, and most of them died like right here where I am. So it is very like there's no way to narrow it down and be like, oh, that's who it is. It's probably this person because of this thing. I know when I was moving in, something like dug into my side right under my right lowest rib. It went like that, it went like that. And I was like, ow, what is that? And I held onto it because I could still feel sore for a minute. And I thought, oh, if I could find somebody who died that way from something doing that, but like, there's no way. And there was a thing that happened where a bunch of people got crushed by rocks, and I thought, well, maybe it's one of them, but there was 23 people who died so from that. So like, it could have been any of them. There's no way to narrow it down. There's no way. There's no way to know. There's too many. Unless there's a way for them to say their names, to tell me their full name, their full government name, which obviously we haven't figured out how to do yet. So I don't know. So I said that I would help you guys find something cool, spooky from wherever you're from or wherever you wanted me to look up. And one person said Cincinnati. And then I think maybe one other person said a city in Virginia, but that's all I remember. It's been a while since I said I would do this. Oh, oh, also, I brought back, I went to my storage unit. Appendicitis was coming. A little too high though, right? Isn't that down like in your hip, like in your pelvis? And this was up like gallbladder area, which could also be deadly, I guess. What did I do with it? I brought back a bag of scraps of paper that I used to write my jokes on, and then I would stuff them in the bag, and there was a little book inside that I would eventually copy down my scraps of paper into the book, but then the book filled up, and so I just kept stuffing scraps of paper into the bag. And every once in a while, I like to go back and look at those scraps of paper in that book and just see how bad my jokes used to be. And when I was a streamer on Bigo, uh, Bigo Live, I did a thing for a little while, very short time, didn't last long, where I would just read. I would open it randomly and just read a random scrap or page of that book on my live streams, like once a day or something. It didn't last long because most of them, very bad taste. Most of them were never told on stage and shouldn't have ever been written down or read aloud. I'm looking around though. I don't know where I put it. But that is a thing I thought I would bring in case anybody wanted me to try doing that again. All right. So I have this sorted, oldest newspapers to most current. Okay. And the oldest one, oh, There's a bunch. Okay, the oldest one for died mysteriously in Cincinnati is, if you have a city or a place or like a famous ghost story that you want me to look up right now and find the first known record of it that is currently in this database, I will do that right now. I'll do it right now. All I've eaten today is 4 pieces of toast because it was like safe. Like it's safe to eat. All right, let's see. Oh wow. Galveston used to be called Galvez Town. There's a baby crying. Let's see. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. And 2 days afterwards, they lost one of their number, John Brown, who fell down and died through fatigue and hunger. All right, that's not exciting. Why do people have kids? Oh, look at my friends. Look at my crow friends outside. Hey, buddies. There they are. Hi. You got, okay, hang on. Let me do them a solid. Hey, Cross. Hello, my friends. Hey, Cross. Okay, they're obviously not still there. Hey, Cross. That's usually how I talk to them. Oh, there you are. Hi. Hey, hey. Hey, hey. Oh, good. There you are. Okay, here you go. Here you go, Chris. Here you go. Here you go, my friends. Enjoy. All right. All right. They know me. All right. Now we have, in the village of Manchester, Vermont, several years ago, a man of respectable. What is this word? They spelled connections with an X. A man of respectable connections. You know what? It makes so much sense to me. I think that's how we should spell it from now on. Connections and character suddenly mysteriously disappeared. All search and inquiry proved futile and in vain, till within a few weeks a person dreamed. Oh my God, we found an amazing one right off the bat. A person dreamed that he had appeared to him and informed him that he had been murdered by 2 persons whom he named, and that he had been buried in such a place a few rods distant from a sapling bearing. Hi, Mike O. Feed them some hot dogs. I got hot dogs for my other crows that I haven't fed them yet. I ended up eating 2 of them the other day. I bought them for the crows, but I ate them. Let's see. A few rods distant from a sapling bearing a particular mark, which he minutely described. The same dream occurred 3 times successively before he awoke. So this is a male psychic dreamer. Hot dogs for crows. I didn't even think about that. Each time the deceased seemed very solicitous for him to follow. Upon awakening, his feelings were wrought up to such a pitch, and he was so strongly impressed with the belief of the fact that he determined to collect some friends and follow the directions laid down in the dream. This is 1819. They didn't have a lot to do. You did? Did they like it? I used to feed my crows cheddar hot dogs, and they ended up having a ton of gristle in them. Like, I used to eat them too, like cheddar sausages. But there was so much gristle that I was like, I'm not going to do that to them. So now I bought Hebrew National because they're like the best hot dogs. Anyway, they were on sale, so I got them for the crows. And then I ate two because I have no willpower. Are they not going to come and eat this? These mother effers. It was either the crows or the magpies that ate them. Well, they're all the same corvid family. You give ravens turkey. Is that cannibalism? Not really, right? I mean, meat's meat. Birds are birds, I guess. I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess hawks eat woodpeckers and stuff. Okay, let's see. He did so and discovered to his surprise a tree. That's good. They're all like sleepy. All the crows are like, or crows and magpies are all falling asleep because of the tryptophan. They're all Thanksgiving. Let's see. He did so and discovered to his surprise a tree marked precisely as described. Oh, that's true. Crows eat eggs too, and so do hawks. They eat like other birds' eggs. A tree marked precisely as described. Also, the appearance of a grave. And upon digging, found a human skeleton. After this discovery, the two persons implicated in the dream were apprehended and put into confinement, and after a few days confessed the deed. They have been tried and convicted and are now under sentence of death and to be executed on the 18th January next. Their names are Stephen and Jesse Drown. What an unfortunate last name. Oh, Brown. I think it's Brown. It's an old newspaper, and it's got a wrinkle. And the name of the person murdered was Russell Colvin. Well, now I want to look up Russell Colvin and see if that's true. This is from the Albany Daily Advertiser. Manchester, Vermont. Okay, so that's crazy. Yeah, what's his name? Let's look him up again. Russell Colvin. Let's look up Russell Colvin murder. Oops. All right. Let me see if this is true. I need to fact check this. But that's a crazy story. All right. Russell Colvin. Why do you hate me? What? What? Murder. And that was in 1819? No. That said a few years after he went missing. So let's say, I'm just going to say 1800 to 1825. And that was in Vermont. Let's go. Let's do this. A psychic, right? Maybe. Oh my God, it's true. Oh my God, it's true. Oh my God, this is a true story. Oh my God. I thought, oh, for sure it's going to be like, nope, nope, hold on. That really happened. No way, dude. I thought, okay, it's creative writing. Somebody made it up. No. Trial of Stephen and Jesse Bourne. Looks like Boorn. For the murder of Russell Colvin, who is discovered. Wait a minute. All right, the edge of this paper has been torn off, but we have a lot to go on here. That's going to be so loud. I'm sorry. I'll turn it off. Oh, it's already very hot in here. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Wait a minute. Let me look at a different one and see, because I'm only seeing half of this article. So I want to get one that's not torn so I don't get like pieces of the wrong information before I even say that out loud. Oh my God. Okay, so this is a real thing that happened, but not the way that that article suggested. This is Tuesday, December 28th, 1819. The murdered Colvin alive. The advertisement published in our paper of the 30th ult, which probably produced the letter from Mr. Chadwick published in our last, has resulted in the happy discovery of Russell Colvin, for the murder of whom Stephen and Jesse Bourne of Manchester in this state were lately tried, found guilty, and condemned to be hung on the 28th of January next. Wonderful as this may appear, it is true. On the publication of Mr. Chadwick's letter in the New York Evening Post, much interest was excited. Mr. Whelpley of New York had been acquainted with Colvin and his family in Manchester, and on being acquainted with the circumstances, immediately set off for the purpose of ascertaining the facts. A new debunker arrives, right? Colvin was found at the house of Mr. William Polymus in Dover, Monmouth County, New Jersey, when he was recognized by Mr. Whelpley as the same man sought for. He has been with Mr. Polymus since March or April 1813. He was immediately brought to New York, and it is due to the honorable corporation of that city to say that with a spirit of humanity and zeal for the relief of two suffering mortals whose lives and liberties were unjustly held in jeopardy, they came forward and advanced money to defray the expense of Colvin and an attendant to Vermont. Those two dudes were going to be murdered for the murder of a guy that wasn't dead. Because somebody had a dream and went and found a skeleton. And then they confessed, so that tells you confessions mean nothing. Oh, this lighting has just got real weird. I couldn't wait for you to clear the cover. Now you're gone and leaving nothing. What? What is happening? More mods? What? What happened? Apparently they found a skeleton. So whose was it? I gotta move my computer so that light is not blinding me. Let's see. On Monday of last week, Colvin started from New York in the mail stage, accompanied by Mr. Whelpley, and on Wednesday arrived safe at Manchester. We understand that on his arrival, Stephen Bourne, who was then confined, was immediately released from his shackles and set at liberty. And in testimony, what about the other guy? And in testimony of the great joy and gladness on the occasion, 50 guns were given, the first of which was discharged by the said Stephen. Dude, I would have shot the dude. Be like, I'm gonna hang for your anyway. What? So wait, J.R.R. Raven is not our Raven? That's not like Raven Raven? Oh my gosh. There she is. Okay. Who is this person? Sorry that you're like bouncing up and down. All right. I thought that was you. I thought that was you. And I was like, all right, well, that's fine. I'll let people be themselves in here. Sorry. Hi, Jody. Aw. Jesse Bourne, having had his punishment commuted to state's prison for life, did not participate in these expressions of gladness. He was like, no, I'm good, thanks. I almost died for murder. I don't want to shoot a gun. But ere this has doubtless heard the glad tidings. The trial of the Bournes. They didn't even make sure that he was out of prison, too. The trial of the Bournes exhibits a curiosity not to be conceived, and the discovery of Colvin renders it still more interesting. It is now published and for sale. What does that mean? Let's sell the story before we even know what the heck happened. Are my crows back? Are they open? Oh my god, it's squirrels. Squirrels are eating those peanuts. Whatever. So, who's skeleton? All right. Russell Colvin. I'm going to say skeleton identified and see if that comes up with any kind of information. No. All right, let's see what skeleton comes up with. Nothing. How about remains? This is such a weird story. All right, let's see if this one is going to tell us anything. Nope, that's not it. What a weird... Whose skeleton was that? Let me see. Sort oldest first. Russell Colvin. Russell Colvin. Firing a cannon. Who's... Whose skeleton was that? A cannon? I guess somebody fired a cannon to celebrate that he was not dead. But somebody's dead. Who's dead? Who did that? Why did they confess to that? All they had against them was someone had a bad dream. I think the guy... That's what I was about to say too, Tina. I think the guy who had the dream, who knew the stick would have this particular marking on it, who got two of his friends for deniability and said, let's go out and look for the stick, and then found who's the guy that had the dream. Oh. Let's see, is that January 3rd, 1820? Okay. Trial of Stephen and Jesse Bourne for the murder of Russell Colvin, who is discovered to be yet alive. something has since returned to Manchester, where the murder was supposed to have been committed and where Stephen Bourne was confined in prison and bound in chains awaiting the execution, which was to take place agreeably to sentence of court on the 28th January next, to which is added the interesting particulars of the discovery and return of said Colvin. Whose dream was it? Let me look at this again. The dream. It just says a person dreamed. And then he collected some friends. Who's this dreamer? This letter was written to the newspaper to tell them the story. By some religious person, because it says, if you judge the following worthy a place in your useful paper, you will oblige a subscriber by admitting it into your columns. It is the most striking example of divine agency. It satisfactorily demonstrates that we are watched over by a guardian providence and verifies the old proverb, which is so universally found to be correct, that murder will out. I have no hesitation in saying that it can be implicitly relied on, as it came from a gentleman of the first respectability. Who is this person? Who is this gentleman of respectability? Of the first respectability, not the second or the third. I don't know how I feel about any of this now, but we just went on a bit of a roller coaster ride in research land. See what I mean? This is fun. I just picked a city. Like, you guys gave me a city and on Discord, and I just found that madness. 2 guys were almost put to death. I know I saw a couple of chat things come on, so let's see. People often know when they won't get a fair trial. Yeah. So they just confess to it. Hi, Jody. Music. All right. So that was wild. Does anybody else have a city you want me to look up and see if we can find something crazy? Or I can do a search for just some fun terms that always lead to a good time. Wow. What a strange story that was. And I couldn't even find any, like, resolution to whose skeleton, though. I might look up more about that and just see what that was all about. What? What's that about? All right, let me see. I'm gonna stick with Cincinnati, and I'm gonna look up justice for skeleton. Let's just see what comes up for this. And I'm gonna 1997. Nope, I'm gonna sort oldest 1877. All right, let's see what the oldest newspaper with these search terms in Cincinnati comes up with. This article is, ooh, there's some good words in here. Ooh, all right. Spiritualism from the Cincinnati Daily Inquirer, Wednesday, Halloween, 1877. It was a rough year. I think all of the 1800s were a rough year. So this is Halloween Day. So this could be really good. Oh. Okay, so they talk weird in the 1800s. Spiritualism. See, this is like, it's so fun. Like the first thing to come up is almost always, when I turn my head, it sounds like sandpaper. Oh. Anyway, it's always like, it's a crapshoot, but it's fun. All right. Some interesting revelations and experiences of a believer. To the editor of the Inquirer. Do you want me to read this little Shakespearean excerpt that he started with? To be or not to be is not the question. There is no choice of life, mark it well. For death is but another name for change. The weary shuffle off this mortal coil, and think to slumber in eternal night. But lo, the man, though dead, is living still. Unclothed is clothed upon, and his mortality is swallowed up of life. And oft 'tis said, the ghosts of the departed do revisit the glimpses of the moon to convince us that they do return from that bourne from whence it was declared they return no more. The belief in ghosts, apparitions, and divination reaches back to the earliest dawn of humanity, so that, notwithstanding the limitations of our physical senses, ordinarily to the perception of the world around us, and in defiance of the anathemas of theology, anathemas, and the ridicule and scorn of science, the faith of mankind remains unshaken in the reality of these phenomena. In fact, it seems to be spreading and permeating all classes of society, and disguise it as we may, this belief is undermining the creeds of all ecclesiastical organizations, leading their followers out into the broad highway beyond all sectarian barriers. Like, people used to talk like this. Especially favored persons in all ages have professed to have some supernatural power or an additional sense by which they were no longer subject to the usual laws of space and time. It is. But that rising above these, they opened the portals of the spirit world and commenced with the loved ones gone before. Hence, the church has ever tried to suppress it and to keep and strengthen their control over the minds of men. We find these peculiar persons devastating, maybe by the letter, the early Jewish church, for the people were secretly in the habit of visiting the house of the seer to learn of the past and the future, or bring up the ghosts of the dead, as did Saul in his memorable visit to the witch of Endor, where the apparition of Samuel appeared and foretold his doom. The wrath of the priesthood was finally aroused to crush the heresy, and the famous edict was issued, quote, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." The whole power of the church, both Jewish and Christian, being brought into requisition to destroy it. Psychic Tina, you were typing that. Thousands of lives have been sacrificed to extirpate it, but without avail. Plato, Plutarch, Pythagoras, Cicero, the sages of all climes, and most of the early fathers of the Christian church admitted the power of divination. Goethe and other members of his family had this peculiar gift and often foretold events and described remarkable visions that were afterward fulfilled. The famous Jacques, is that his name? Zschokke. Jacques? Joke? Is this joke? Is this a joke? Am I a joke? The author of admirable work, Hours of Devotion, had a remarkable development on this faculty, often reading the thoughts and describing the characters of passing persons. On one occasion, he was with two companions, stopped to rest at a public inn, and while there, was somewhat offended at the numerous guests ridiculing and the peculiarities of the Swiss and their faith in Mesmer, Lavater, etc. One young man in particular that sat opposite to him at the table became very offensive by his pretentious airs and merciless laughter. It so happened, relates joke, that a few moments before the main events of the life of this person had passed before my mind's eye, I turned to him and asked him if he would answer me candidly upon being told the secret parts of his life, who was so complete a stranger to him as I was. That, I added, would certainly go beyond Lavater's power to read faces. He promised to confess it openly if I stated facts. So this guy is saying he's psychic. And he's saying, I did this, but he's the one telling this story. So can we trust our narrator? Honey, what do you have back there? Thereupon I related all I had seen in my mind, and informed thus the whole company at table of the young man's history, the events of his life at school, his petty sins, and at last a robbery which he had committed by pilfering his employer's strong box. I described the empty room with its whitewashed walls and brown door, near which on the right hand a small black money box had been standing on a table, and other details. As long as I spoke, a death-like silence reigned in the room, which was only interrupted by my asking the young man from time to time if all I said was not true. He admitted everything, although evidently in a state of utter consternation, and at last, deeply touched by his candor, I offered him my hand across the table and closed my recital. The Empress Josephine foretold almost all Napoleon's misfortune and finally truly predicted her own fate. One of the most remarkable predictions was that Jacques Cazot, as related and attested by Jean Letharp, a man of unblemished character who in 1788 had been invited to meet at the palace of the... Okay, so this is like more psychic stuff. Utter consternation. This is a prediction. Everybody's partying and somebody stands up and says, "Gentlemen, you may rejoice, for you will all see that grand and imposing revolution which you so much desire. You, Mr. Condorcet, will expire lying on the floor of a subterranean prison. You, in, will die of poison. You, in, will perish by the executioner's hand on the scaffold." They cried out, "Who on earth has made you think of prisons, poison, and the executioner?" Okay. 6 years later, the predictions were fulfilled. Don't you like it when it's in the newspaper and you can scroll to the future? All right, let's see. There are so many psychic prediction. Let me see. Let me see what this one says. If you look up psychic prediction in the old newspapers, there's so many. This is 1889. This seems to be sorry, I'm like proofreading here. to make sure they're interesting, because that last one was like so many words. Oh, but it is Halloween, so let's see if there's something else on this page that's cool. Special notices. No. Railroad. Marriages, deaths. Let's see what's in deaths on Halloween. No. This is not as fun when I have a funeral tomorrow to go to. I gotta get out of here. Let's see. Prediction. Let's see what this one is. I don't know if you guys are still having fun. It was this live stream for Spooky was mainly to show you guys that razor thing that happened. So let's see. Let's hope this is really good. Prediction of a ghost. Athenian Mercury, June 1890. Ooh. Two persons, ladies of quality, both being not long since deceased, were intimate acquaintances and loved each other entirely. It so fell out that one of them took sick of the smallpox and desired mightily to see the other, who would not come, fearing to catch the disease. The afflicted at last What was that? Did you guys see something out here? Did a bird just land on this window? Something made a noise. You guys heard that, right? Help. Okay, so one of them got smallpox, and the other one didn't want to catch it. The afflicted at last dies of it and had not been buried very long, but appears as the others. August 12th, huh? So I have to set my alarm so I can weigh myself that day. Let's see. The afflicted at last dies of it. Tethering day. You go, we go. But appears at the other's house in the dress of a widow and asks for her friend, who was then at cards, but sends down her woman to know her business, who in short told her that she must impart it to none but her lady, who after she had received this answer bid her woman have her into a room and desired her to stay while the same was done, and she would wait on her, the game being done downstairs. And she came, help, my brain hurts, to the apparition to know her business. Madam, says the ghost, turning up her veil and her face appearing full of smallpox. What a... You know very well that you and I loved entirely, and you not coming to see me, I took it so ill at your hands that I could not rest till I had seen you, and now I come to tell you that you have not long to live. Therefore, prepare to die, and when you are at a feast and make the 13th person in number, then remember my words. And so the apparition vanished. To conclude, she was at a feast where she made the 13th person in number, and was afterward asked by the deceased brother whether his sister did appear to her as reported. She made no answer, but fell a weeping and died a little time after. The gentleman that told this story says there is hardly any person of quality but what knows it to be true. So as far as the Y-Files goes, I know you guys know that my dad is like a science dude. That's the technical term. So my dad spoke at this most recent conference called Contact in the Desert. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. It's for alien believers and stuff, um, fringe science type of stuff. uh, and my dad is friends with a woman named Diane. And if you have listened to the telepathy tapes at all, you would know who Diane Powell is, Dr. Diane Powell. uh, and so recently, I've been listening to the telepathy tapes, which are fascinating, and they seem to cross over a lot with whatever's like. I'll listen to a couple of episodes and then I'll skip a few days, and then I'll listen to a couple more episodes, and then I'll skip a few days or weeks sometimes, and then I'll listen to a couple of episodes. So, um, it does seem like whatever they're saying in the episodes I listen to immediately becomes relevant in whatever happens next in my life. For example, I'm at a point where they're talking about nonverbal people needing to be touched to know where their hands are or to know where their arms are, because they're disconnected from their body. They're more of a consciousness than a person, right? They're more of like their body is failing them and they're not able to communicate through it, so they have like receded from it and they're trying to communicate in other ways, thus telepathy tapes, right? And so they have to be touched in order to like type words, since they can't speak, right? And so a lot of science community doesn't accept typing as genuine communication from these people because they're being touched. And so they assume it's like a Ouija board and they're like forcing their hands to type the words they want them to type or whatever. Even though eventually most of them don't need to be touched anymore because it's such a like a programmed motor skill that they can just do it on their own. So usually they're doing it by themselves after they learn the skill. Kind of like, that'd be like saying you didn't learn how to ride a bike because you're not capable of riding a bike because you couldn't just wake up and do it one day and your dad had to hold on to the handlebars for you or whatever. Like if somebody's helping you learn a skill that's new to you, basically the science community is saying that doesn't count because somebody helped you figure out how to hold a pen or whatever. Anyway, it's dumb. So it was talking about how they have to be touched even on the shoulder to know where their arm is so that they can type, right? So that they can get their head, their mind into their body enough to work this arm. So when I went last week to visit my friend who was dying, there were books there. It is. It is. And they can't, it's not their fault, but it is intrinsically bad to close off possibilities just because you can't figure out a way to test them yet or something. I don't know. But there were books at this hospice that I went to that talked about the process of dying and what to expect and how to handle it. And one of them was talking about how to say goodbye to somebody in that situation. And they said in the book that you should touch them, like hold their hand. Yeah, exactly. You should hold their hand and stroke their hand so that they know that you are there, but so that it used the phrase, the little pamphlet that I read while I was there, used the phrase of bringing the driver back into the vehicle, because a person who is dying over the course of like a while, several days or however long, is not really feeling all the pain that's happening as their body is shutting down because they're not really in their vehicle. You know what I mean? Uh, so they say you're supposed to touch them to bring the driver back into the vehicle so that you can talk to them and so that they know that you're there talking to them and they can hear you better or something. So that's the theory. So, Jody, have you listened to the telepathy tapes? Because I've heard all of that before I ever started listening to it, but they approach it, the podcast approaches it from outside all the studies that are connected to it. And the podcast is approaching it through the parents, and the parents are the ones that lead these episodes that I've listened to. Like, I think I've listened to 7 episodes so far or something, but the parents are the ones saying, this is my experience, and they're telling their experience, and their kids are saying how excited they are that someone's finally listening to them. Like, if you listen to the telepathy tapes, none of that like stuff I've heard makes any sense at all. It's so weird to me. But there's kind of like follow the money reasons why they wouldn't want you to. It's like saying, no, 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 don't cure this problem. We're making a ton of money. See, I haven't heard any of that. I haven't seen anyone saying not to do anything. I've seen people saying try everything so far. But like I said, have you listened to them? Because I heard that stuff before I listened to it as well. Okay, so I don't know anything about that. And from if you I think if you listen to them you'll see where it comes from, but the people who that sounds like a money thing too, which is pretty sad. But the people that seem to be participating in it that are non-speakers have all seemed to be very excited to like show people what they can do and to finally be listened to. Like they've been shouting in a void that no one can hear for so long. And when somebody finally comes along and says, maybe they are communicating with us, let's listen to them in a different way, then they become like thrilled. It's crazy to listen to because they're so proud to finally be heard. And it's like a whole world opens up for them. Just something that's been added to their life that's made them happier and more understood so far. I haven't gotten very far, like I said. I'm like 7 episodes in, and I don't know how many episodes there are. But anyway. Oh, you have listened to them. Yeah, I haven't heard it replace anything. So the reason I brought it up, drama aside, is that Dr. Diane was also at Contact in the Desert. And I watched her little, it's like a small clip of not a lecture that she did, but a Q&A session that she did after her lecture, which I haven't seen. And I don't know what any of those abbreviations meant. So Dr. Diane did a Q&A after she did a lecture. And the reason I bring it up is because my dad was there and he knows her. And Diane got introduced at Contact in the Desert by the Y-Files guy. Like he's the one that came out and introduced her. Anyway, that's what I was going to say. That was all. Didn't mean to ignite any kind of drama. Psychokinesis. Oh, I haven't gotten into any kinesis. So a lot of my family members have worked a lot with IDs, as they're called, which you'll probably already know what that means. But since you're in that community, I guess. Uh, and it just seems really like fascinating to me that this is being explored. And they talk about in one episode about why typers are not recognized as that. Remember, because they are touching their shoulder or whatever. And I guess early on, there was a typer that was a young girl who said that her dad was touching her inappropriately. And there was like a whole huge thing. And then that became the only story that was ever associated with typing to communicate. And so everybody shut it down and said, don't do that. Don't use typing because it's not reliable. And it was just because of that one story. And there was nothing else that had anything to do with it getting shut down, and according to what I've heard. And so they were saying that they closed off the community from an entire form of communication because one person misused it the same way, honestly, like speaking people might. But it was like discredited because that one thing. I don't know. Like I said, the more I learn, the less I know. But it does present a lot of interesting thoughts and theories and possibilities. And it's irresponsible to just dismiss them when there is evidence to support that there is something to it and that it should be explored. I think it's really interesting. And like I said, it has aligned so far with my experiences with the non-ID community. So my friend who was passing away when I visited, to have those books there that basically said if a person who is leaving their body has the same reaction or response to touch as like the non-speakers in this study, it's really interesting because then it's like there's a non-speaker in the telepathy tapes that's talking about how they see dead relatives and friends and stuff. So yeah, every new thing is going to have that. AI has all that. All those conversations need to be had. But uh our feelings do influence how we receive data. And so if we immediately dislike or discredit something, that's going to color the data. You know what I mean? So like, but for me, a person who is leaving their body that has always worked for them and is no longer working as it's supposed to, for them to respond to physical stimuli the same way that someone who's never had that access to their body does, I wonder if they're existing, what is the word? If they're existing consciously in the same place, you know, like if non-speakers are existing in a place where they can speak to and communicate with dead relatives, then when we are dying, are we then disconnecting from our vehicle and connecting and existing more in that same space? Is it the same place? Is it the same experience? Is it the same energy shift into a different level of consciousness? Is it, I have so many questions just because those two things were brought to my attention at the same time. So I have a lot of questions about what are the implications? What does that mean? What does that mean could be possible? What does that mean could be what we're experiencing? What does that mean reality is? What does that mean? Is there a place where everybody exists simultaneously? Is time not real? Like there, it could, if you take it as far as you can, it does bring up some really interesting questions. It does bring up some really interesting possibilities. Does space exist? Like time and space. So if time doesn't exist, because you can talk to people once you pass on, or once you're in that other space of consciousness or dimension or whatever, and you can talk to anybody who is no longer living or who hasn't lived yet, then time doesn't exist because you can, you know, those people are no longer here. Yeah, exactly, exactly. And then does space exist because these people are able to talk to each other? Well, I haven't gotten to anything that smells foul yet. I haven't gotten in any kind of foul play. So far, it's just people doing their best and trying to do a good thing. Are you trying to make me think? No, but isn't it cool to think about? I don't know. I think that's really cool. But if, yeah, these people can communicate with somebody right now who's across the world, across the country, across the room. So does space exist? Because it doesn't seem like it. Thinking is optional. Yeah, it's like our experience is what is only what we understand it to be, and we don't understand very much. So if we could understand it, what does that mean? What could it mean? It's everything. It's making me question a lot of stuff to go through this world, to navigate this world while hearing those theories, while hearing other theories, and while watching people come and go. I know that some of you have as well, had a lot of people pass away recently in your life. And it seems like in my situation, it seems like a bunch of the very best people that I know are gone in the last 2 years or something. Uh, like all the people, I know that when someone passes away or when someone dies, everybody's like, oh, they were Beardo, hi, we're getting real deep. Beardo, the beginning of this, I need you to debunk what happened in my shower. I was fully dressed for this live stream, but something happened in my shower last night, and it's the very beginning of this live stream. And I cannot explain it, and I would love it if you could. Or if you have any ideas, for God's sake, tell me what to try. I'll try anything to recreate it. I can't figure it out. I don't know why it happened or how it happened, but it happened, and it's freaking me the F out. What was I talking about? Oh, so yeah, all the people, like, yeah, I have a shower ghost. I go, sweeter. So, like, okay, so people die. When people die, we always say, oh, they were such a good person. They were so nice. No one would ever say anything bad about them. But, like, all the people that I've lost recently, that's like stuff I said about them before they were gone, you know? While they were still here, I was like, this person is one of the best people I know. Like, anytime I would introduce these people, I'd be like, everybody loves them. You're going to love them too, you know? So, like, it's like the rapture is happening. Squirrel ghost. You might be onto something. I can see a squirrel wanting to, like, take stuff apart. Why did that happen though? In my shower, why did that happen? I cannot explain it, and it's going to drive me crazy. Ghost Wiener, stay out of Marilyn shower. Ah. Danish squirrel ghost. Just so you guys know, I don't live in Denmark, but I do work in a Danish village. Sometimes doing ghost tours, which I was supposed to be doing some work on a flyer for that, but I got distracted because I had to tell you guys about my shower ghost. Also, I'm in the process of like getting rid of stuff. It's spring cleaning time, so I am living in a pile right now. Everything is a mess. I want to get rid of a ton of stuff, but I'm living currently in a pile of stuff. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's everything. At what point, Jody, do they start to, because you said you've listened to them, so at what point do the telepathy tapes start to recommend against treatments, certain treatments, so that I know when to expect the vibe to change? Because right now it still seems like people are just doing their best and trying to do a good thing. Like, it seems like a lot of good intentions so far. So if you can tell me, like, am I close to the episode where it starts to shift so I can prepare myself? Every episode I've been waiting for it already because I've heard the negative press, but I haven't, like, I tried to go in it knowing that, but with an open mind to see for myself if that was what it was about. I haven't seen it yet. I'm not saying it's not gonna happen. I just haven't seen it yet, so maybe I'll get there. If you know at what point it starts to change, I will keep my eyes and ears open. Oh, okay. Well, how about this? If you have specific questions that you want me to ask Diane, send them to me. You can send them on Discord if you want. And I can ask her exactly what you want to know. I can even email it to her and have her write her responses and send it back to me. So I can just read them, you know? So if you guys have something, because I have her email address somewhere, but, or my dad can ask for it because they know each. That's 2 car alarms going off. Can you guys see the migraine? Like the stress? I've had a headache for days, and then last night it made me so nauseous. All right. So yeah, if you have questions for Diane or anything like that, let me know. Send them to me on Discord. I will totally 100% ask her. I've only met her once, but she knows who I am. She knows my dad, so I can ask. And then, oh my God, I'm gonna go crazy. And then I'm gonna see if my dad knows the guy from the Y Files because he introduced her at the talk. So, you know, that might be cool. Yeah. All right. So I think I'm gonna end because I don't think the people who own these cars they're probably not even here. This street gets covered in cars like all the time for people who go to church nearby, but the church parking lot is too small. Maybe that's God's plan. But it's pretty obnoxious. So these people probably can't even hear that those alarms are going off. I'm going to pretend it's church bells. Ah! So yeah, I think that's today. Sorry, the old ads. Oh, no, yeah. That's fine. Yeah, don't worry about that. But I do want, like, if you have like questions that I can ask her um to to clear anything up or to it's always something, isn't it? That car alarm really did like space out my whole head. Did you guys see my whole brain shut down? And then I looked at the computer and I saw baby a solid rash, ugly, painful, blotched, malicious. Thank you guys. Whoa. Whoa. Two is that an accident? Do you need that back? Was that meant to be like $20? Oh my god. Ghost Wiener. Seriously, do you need that back? Oh my god. I don't even know what to say. I mean, I I know thank you. I know that part, but like that's that's beyond. That is like I don't deserve that. um I immediately feel like I do not deserve that. I do not. I, I didn't even brush my hair. Like I've just been sitting here. Dude, wow. Uh I'm sorry. I'm totally speechless and stunned. I was already like tripped up and now I'm so confused as to why this happened. Oh my god. Thank you. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. No way. Me too, Tina. What? Because of that, yeah, I didn't even brush my hair. You gotta take it back now. I don't even I don't even know what to say. That's incredible. What can I do for you? Tell me what I can do for you. Can I send people to something you how can I help you? How can I give back? That's insane. That's insane. And it's euros. So it's like more like it's like more than even the number is in Americans. So like what just happened? I'm sweating. You just made me sweat. I'm sweating now. What in the world? No, Leanne? No, I cannot. Holy crap, dude. Ghost Wiener, I am sweating. That's insane. That's amazing. You're amazing. Thank you so much. I'm frothing at the mouth a little bit. I don't even know what to even think. Do you know how many peanuts that gets the crows? I'm just kidding. I'm not going to blow it on peanuts, but oh my God. Oh my God. I need to take this off. I don't want to get in that shower. That shower's haunted. Thank you. Oh my God. Everybody's like, wow, I'm never going to send her something because look at her freak out. Okay. Wow. 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 Thank you, Ghost Wiener. That's insane. That's insane. Thank you so much. That was awesome. Yeah, Ghost Wiener, hop in my shower. tell the other ghosts in there to stop throwing my stuff around and taking it apart. Danish ghost squirrels. I feel like my eardrum is going to pop just because of the pressure in my head. Dude, wow. Thank you so much. That's amazing. I don't even know what to say besides thank you so much. Thank you, Rob. Oh my God, you guys. I'm going to just retreat inside my flannel. That's okay. Wow. I feel like I should stay do something spectacular. Wow, that was amazing. What do I have? I don't know. I got nothing for this. Ghost Wiener, if you want me to look up a city and tell you about something spooky there that happened, just tell me a city. Or send it to me on Discord. I really am like suddenly very overheated. Oh my God. I don't take compliments well, and I don't know what to do with give this. That's amazing. Thank you for really spinning me out. I'm totally freaked out now. Thank you. Ah! Thank you guys for being here. That's insane. My hands are shaking a little bit. Not too bad. Not too bad though. Whew. That's crazy. Just wow. Oh shoot. Today's Saturday. I was gonna have another like quick debunker from history video. Oh, I already filmed it too. I just have to edit it. Dang it. Sorry. I've had a lot going on. Or was that I was supposed to have it last week, huh? But then my friend passed away. Okay, well, I have a funeral to go to tomorrow, and then I will work on the rest of the videos that I have already filmed. That's insane. Ghost Wiener, you're amazing. This whole stream is dedicated to you now and Jody for having the hard discussion with me where I made everybody uncomfortable. And there's ghosts. So yeah, I'm starting to get speckly light coming in from the trees. So it's going to be weird. I'm going to look like I have smallpox now in a minute. So, wow. We're not going to top that, right? So I need to go. I need to go out on a high note, right? So I'm going to feed the bunny. Hey, so do I. We are simpatico. So yeah, I'm going to feed the bunny and then I have to close the park and I have to pick out something nice to wear tomorrow, which as someone who always wears like cut off sweatpants and like big ol' hoodies and button ups to hide behind, I don't really have any like nice formal dresses or like business wear because I'm not like a business person. I don't have anything like to wear tomorrow. All of my nicest dresses are like princess dresses. Thank you. So, or like Marilyn sexy cocktail dresses or whatever. So like, I have no idea what I'm going to wear tomorrow. Probably pants and like a sweater. I don't know. But I have to figure that out. I have to close the park and figure out what I'm going to wear tomorrow. And then I have to get up early and drive down to do that. So, I appreciate you guys thinking of that tomorrow. His name was Micah. He was so good a person and helped me with some jokes, some of my comedy that like nobody ever laughed at unless they were like dark like me. And he told me a way to win over like the people who are not like me before I told the joke. So it was like really helpful. And now I'm going to be doing, hopefully, his wife will let me do princess stuff for their daughter because she is only 1.5 and I would like to be around so she can kind of know her dad at some point when she's old enough to understand what's going on. So I'm hoping to thank you. He would appreciate that. So like it's not an end, you know, it's still kind of a beginning. So tomorrow will be the beginning of a new thing, of going forward in a different way, but still a part of his life. Not to bring you guys down, but Ghost Wiener, that was amazing. That was insane. And I hope Beardo comes back to this live stream and leaves a comment to explain how the heck how the heck that happened in my shower. And I will try it. If he gives me something to try, I'll try it. I'll film it and I'll make a little short. I'll put a little quick video out. If you guys think of anything, tell me. I'll try it. There's got to be a way to explain that. I haven't even had a chance to ask my dad yet. But anyway, okay, so thank you guys so much for being here. I've got a couple of things I got to go do. No, that's true. That's true. I will. You know what? If I sent this to Kenny Biddle, he's like, if my dad didn't believe in the supernatural, like he's got a wall of books, just like my dad. He's like, people ask him all the time for stuff to explain things and identify things. But my dad believes and Kenny doesn't. But they both have like a roasty sense of humor approach to it from their very different perspectives. I would love to get them in a room and watch them. I don't know if they would argue and hate each other or if they would joke back and forth and absolutely get along. No idea, but I would love to get them in a room to find out. And Kenny, if he had to watch this live stream to see the beginning where I explained that, if he continued watching after that was over, he would hate it. He would hate every second of me looking up. Maybe he would like that the psychic vision dream about the dead body and the two convicted murderers. He might like that, actually. But everything after that he would hate. Okay, so thank you guys for hanging out with me. I will talk to you very soon. And if I am feeling up to it, which I hope that I will be back for Marilyn Monday. Probably not as Marilyn because I got to get my roots done. But maybe as something. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate all of your conversation. I appreciate all of your points of view. I appreciate your time and sharing this with me. And I appreciate your company very much. And I hope I'll see you guys on Monday or on Discord. Thank you guys so much. You're amazing. I'll see you soon. I'm so like choked up and weird. Okay. Bye guys. Thank you.